In June of 2015, police in Springfield, Missouri received a disturbing report. A strange message had appeared on Facebook. It came from the account of a woman named Dee Dee Blanchard. The message was short and chilling. "That bitch is dead." Friends who saw the post immediately became concerned. They knew Dee Dee and her daughter Gypsy Rose very well. At first, many believed the account had been hacked, but as hours passed, the message continued spreading across social media. Eventually, someone contacted the police. When officers arrived at the Blanchard home, they expected to find confusion or maybe a misunderstanding. Instead, they walked into a crime scene. Inside the house, they discovered the body of Dee Dee Blanchard lying in her bedroom. She had been stabbed multiple times. But what shocked investigators even more was who was missing. Dee Dee's daughter, Gypsy Rose Blanchard, a young woman the entire community believed was severely disabled. For years, Gypsy had been known as a fragile girl suffering from many serious illnesses. Neighbors often saw her in a wheelchair. Her head was shaved. People believed she was undergoing cancer treatment. According to her mother, Gypsy suffered from leukemia, muscular dystrophy, severe asthma, and frequent seizures. The list of illnesses seemed endless. Because of these conditions, Gypsy required constant care, and her mother Dee Dee appeared to be a devoted caregiver. The community admired her. Many people described Dee Dee as a loving and selfless mother. Charities and organizations even stepped in to help. Donations were raised. Trips were organized. At one point, the family received a specially built home through Habitat for Humanity. To outsiders, the story seemed heartbreaking, yet inspiring. But behind closed doors, something far more disturbing was happening. Over the years, several doctors began noticing strange inconsistencies in Gypsy's medical records. Test results often failed to confirm the illnesses Dee Dee described. Sometimes, doctors questioned whether certain treatments were necessary. However, Dee Dee always had an explanation. She claimed many of Gypsy's medical records had been lost during Hurricane Katrina. Without those records, doctors had little choice but to rely on what Dee Dee told them, and so the treatments continued. But the truth was very different from what the community believed. Gypsy Rose Blanchard was not terminally ill. She did not have leukemia. She did not have muscular dystrophy. And in reality, she could walk. For most of her life, Gypsy had been forced to pretend she was sick. Her mother controlled every part of her existence. She shaved Gypsy's head. She told doctors false symptoms. She even convinced Gypsy herself that she was seriously ill. This form of abuse is known as Munchausen by proxy. It occurs when a caregiver exaggerates or fabricates illnesses in someone under their care. Often, the goal is to gain sympathy, attention, or financial support. For Dee Dee Blanchard, the attention became a powerful reward. People praised her for being a strong mother. They admired her dedication. But behind that admiration was a life built entirely on deception. As Gypsy grew older, she slowly began realizing the truth. She discovered she could walk when her mother wasn't watching. She realized many of the illnesses she had been told about simply didn't exist. But escaping her mother's control was nearly impossible. Dee Dee monitored her constantly. She controlled Gypsy's access to the outside world. She limited who Gypsy could talk to, and she often lied about Gypsy's age, telling people she was younger than she actually was. Gypsy felt trapped in a life she never chose, and eventually, she began looking for a way out. Like many young people, Gypsy turned to the internet. Online, she could explore the world her mother tried to hide from her. Through social media, she eventually met a man named Nicholas Gojon. Nicholas lived in another state. but the two quickly formed a relationship through online messages. Gypsy confided in him about her life. She told him about the lies, the control, the years of manipulation. At first, their conversation seemed innocent, but as time passed, they became darker. Gypsy began expressing a desperate desire to escape her mother. Eventually, the pair started discussing something far more dangerous: removing Dee Dee from their lives permanently. In June of 2015, Nicholas traveled to Springfield, Missouri. The plan they had discussed online was about to become reality. That night, while Dee Dee slept in her bedroom, Nicholas entered the house. Gypsy waited in the bathroom. Moments later, the quiet home was filled with violence. Nicholas stabbed Dee Dee multiple times. After the attack, the pair fled the scene. But their escape did not last long. Investigators quickly began tracing their online communications. Digital evidence pointed directly to Nicholas. Soon, police located the couple in Wisconsin. Both were arrested and taken into custody. And as investigators began uncovering the truth, the shocking reality of Gypsy's life became clear. The case quickly captured national attention. Many people struggle to understand how such abuse could remain hidden for so many years. When the case reached court, prosecutors faced a complicated situation. Gypsy had played a role in planning the murder, but she had also been the victim of years of psychological abuse. In 2016, Gypsy Rose Blanchard accepted a plea deal. She was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Nicholas Gojan received a life sentence. The case left the public deeply divided. Some believed Gypsy was a victim who had been pushed beyond her limits. Others believed the murder could never be justified. Even today, the story continues to fascinate true crime audiences because it raises difficult questions about control, about manipulation, and about what happens when a person feels there is no escape. The case of Gypsy Rose Blanchard remains one of the most unusual true crime stories in recent memory. A story where years of deception eventually led to tragedy, and a reminder that sometimes the truth behind a crime is far more complicated than it first appears. If you want to explore more disturbing criminal minds, subscribe to Mind of the Criminal